Welcome to today's episode of Learn English with Humor, where we're going to show you how laughter can actually improve your English skills. I'm Hamza, and I'm joined by Sarah.
Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, and today we're going to show you why learning English through humor is actually a smart and fun way to improve your language skills.
You know, a lot of people say that humor is one of the hardest things to understand in a new language. But what if I told you it's one of the best ways to learn English too?
Yeah, I've noticed that too. And I think it's because humor often relies on things like wordplay, double meanings, or cultural references, which can be tricky if English isn't your first language.
Exactly. Like, if you can understand a joke in English, it means you're really getting the language. It's not just about knowing the words, it's about understanding context, culture, and timing.
That's such a great point, Hamza. Getting a joke means you understand more than just the language, you're also picking up on the subtle cues and hidden meanings that native speakers use.
I remember the first time I heard an English joke. It was one of those, "Why did the chicken cross the road?" jokes, and I just sat there, completely confused. I mean, what's funny about a chicken crossing a road?
Oh yeah, I remember that. It's one of those classic English jokes that everyone knows, but it can be so confusing if you're not familiar with English humor.
Right. But once someone explained the punchline, I realized that it wasn't about the words, it was about the absurdity. It taught me that sometimes, humor doesn't need to make sense, it just needs to catch you off guard.
Exactly. And the best part is, once you start to understand these kinds of jokes, you're not just learning English, you're also learning about the culture behind it. It's like you're in on the joke with native speakers.
Definitely. And that's the key. Humor can be a fun way to introduce new vocabulary and idioms. Like the phrase, "I'm so hungry I could eat a horse." Obviously, no one is eating a horse, but it's a humorous way to say you're extremely hungry.
True. And humor is such a great way to make language learning less stressful. Instead of worrying about making mistakes, you can laugh at them and learn from them.
Yeah. And jokes are full of these kinds of expressions. Sarcasm, irony, puns, they're all tools that native speakers use in everyday conversations, so if you want to sound more natural, it's important to get used to them.
Absolutely. For example, sarcasm can be confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, you'll start to notice how often people use it in English. It's everywhere.
One thing that can really help is watching English comedies or stand-up shows. The comedians often play with words, and you can learn new ways to express yourself.
Yeah, like in shows like Friends or The Office. They use sarcasm and irony all the time, and it can be a fun way to see how native speakers really talk to each other.
Totally. And you know what's funny? When I first started learning, I tried to translate jokes from my language into English. Spoiler alert, they didn't make any sense at all.
Oh, I've done that too. And it's funny because humor doesn't always translate well. What's hilarious in one language might make no sense in another.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. The key is not to take it too seriously. You might not get every joke, but the more you expose yourself to English humor, the more you'll understand.
Exactly. And that's okay. The important thing is to keep practicing and to not get discouraged. Even if you don't get every joke, you're still learning.
Exactly. And let's be honest, laughing while you learn makes everything more enjoyable, right?
For sure. And when you can laugh while learning, it feels like less of a chore and more like a fun experience.
And that's our message for today. Don't be afraid to laugh at yourself while learning. It's a process, and humor can be your best friend along the way.
Yes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes or even make a joke yourself in English. Humor breaks down barriers and makes language learning a lot more enjoyable.
Before we wrap up, let's quickly go over some common humorous phrases you'll hear in English. First up, we have break a leg. Now, you might be thinking, why would anyone wish harm on someone? But in English, this phrase is actually a way to wish someone good luck, especially before a performance.
Okay, so here are some phrases you'll come across that might make you scratch your head at first.
Then there's piece of cake. No, it's not about dessert. It means something is very easy to do.
Right. And it's commonly used in the theater, so if someone says break a leg, don't be alarmed, they're actually wishing you the best.
Exactly. And finally, one of my favorites, it's raining cats and dogs. This one always confused me at first. It just means it's raining really heavily, not that pets are falling from the sky.
Oh, I love that one. It's such a cute way to say that something is really simple or easy. That one always makes me laugh too. Imagine if it were actually raining cats and dogs, that would be chaos.
So, there you have it. A little humor can go a long way in helping you become fluent in English.
And don't forget, using humor helps you connect with others. It's a great way to make friends and feel more confident speaking English.
Thanks for joining us today. And remember, don't just study English, have fun with it. Catch you next time.
Confident speaking English. That's it for today's episode. Keep smiling, keep laughing, and we'll see you next time.